And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Interview with a Former Red Pillar. I'm looking forward to this interview because Johnny reached out to me by email and he had actually interesting backstory. Before I get into the interview, I do want to say that I will have more pre-recorded videos. It's just that I'm currently swamped with work with the semester coming to an end. And so I got like a book chapter and abstract and some other final exams and grade that's coming up soon. So it's really hard for me to put a lot of my focus on YouTube. But once the semester ends, I definitely will crank out a lot of last videos before officially ending the channel sometime in the summer. Not sure when, but it'll eventually come to an end. But with further ado, and I know people are going to come in gradually, but we can actually get this started. Hey, John, do you want to introduce yourself real quick before you hop into the questions?
Yeah, sure. And my name is Johnny. I live in Florida. I'm working part time and I'm also studying at the same time. And to give a quick little background,
Mhm.
I'm in my early 20s. I kind of got introduced to the Manosphere via the whole pickup artist movement like many years ago, like 3, 4 years ago. And I just started getting into the red pill thing about maybe less than a year ago, 10, 11 months.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty short period of time, but so it's kind of interesting that you got into it and you got out of it pretty quickly. Normally,
Yeah.
some people stay in it for like years.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, so Mr. You told me you found the PUA content when you were around 18 or 19 years old. So I'm curious, what led you to that community?
Yeah, so the thing is, growing up, I didn't really get a lot of attention from girls. I was kind of like nerdy or whatever. And then as I started to age, like, you know, going through puberty, your face changes, you look a little bit better. And I started getting into the gym, so I was developing my body. So I started to get attention from the opposite sex. And, growing up as a nerdy kid, I didn't really have like the self confidence or like, kind of the experience and like handling that type of thing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, I was kind of struggling with dating or whatever. So, I would just like look up on YouTube, oh, what to do on like a date or like, shit like that. And then like the pickup artists would pop up and I would follow RSD and just like, it's kind of like a whole rabbit hole, because you discover one content creator and then another,
Hmm.
and then you kind of envelop yourself in that field. So I was following pickup content for a couple of years. I was kind of practicing the whole cold approach thing. And the thing is, the pickup community gets a lot of flack, but it does have its uses. Like I did take away a lot of positive things from my experience in the pickup community because in a lot of ways it does teach you, kind of to that dating and stuff, I feel like it really just takes experience. You know what I mean? Like anything in life, the more experience you get, the better at it you'll get. So it kind of put me into that mind frame of really putting myself out there and kind of taking control and, making moves in the dating scene. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um yeah, so that was pretty good. And I would say about a year ago, like I said, I got into the whole red pill thing. I actually discovered it via the red pill subreddit.
Oh,
The
the one I read
YouTuber
it.
FitX.
Yeah.
The YouTuber FitX Fearless.
Yes.
Yeah, I came on to him at first, and honestly, I first started watching him because I thought he was funny, he was entertaining, and he's a red pill guy, but he sprinkles in a lot of like PUA stuff.
Mm.
So he was speaking about stuff I was familiar with. I thought he was funny, entertaining. So then I kind of just started watching him like a lot. And through him, then I stumbled upon Steph is Cold. Who else? AMS, MJ Get Right, like the whole four horsemen of game type. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so when you were following PUA, did you pay for anything? Did you attend boot camps, or was it strictly through YouTube?
Luckily, no, because I've seen some fucking horror stories of people paying like thousands of dollars for boot camps and shit, and the boot camps are complete trash, and they're just trying to upsell you on everything. It's honestly ridiculous. Thankfully, I just mostly stuck to the free content. Um, there actually is one program that I was able to get a hold of. I got it for free though. Luckily, I didn't pay for it. I just pirated it.
Hmm.
Um, so that actually helped me a little bit, but Then I looked into it, and like the retail price when it came out was like $600-700. Like it was good, but I don't think it was worth like $600-700 worth. Like that's a lot of fucking money. If you're gonna charge that much money for like a product, like I don't know. I just feel like it has to have more value than that. But yeah, thankfully, I never really paid for courses or anything like that. I'm gonna kind of sidetrack a little bit,
Okay.
but so you're aware of like the whole fake guru, like self-help space, right? Where like people try to teach you to make money online.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of parallels between like the pickup, the red pill, and like that, that sort of situation, and unfortunately, like when it comes to the fake guru, like make money online, I did get victimized by that in the sense of like I did pay money for like a couple of courses. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So like I kind of learned my lesson from that. So thankfully I applied the lesson from that to not, to be more careful with the money that I spend in the pickup and dating world, in the red pill world.
Hmm. How were the courses that you bought? How were they? Because I've always been curious to see how any kind of course that you have to pay for is, but I don't want to make the investment just to test it out.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too crazy. It was kind of like because the thing is with a lot of these courses, they come in tiers. There's like the cheaper stuff that's not that informative, but it's meant to upsell you on like the more expensive, like, oh, pay me this much more and you'll get hands on with me and my team, and you get like there's always like an upsell. There's always something more advanced. I was kind of dabbling in the lower tier stuff, like the cheaper stuff. Yeah, it was just like a couple $100 on like, shit from like Ty Lopez and like Jason Capital and like these type of guys. Um,
Yeah, I remember Ty Lopez. I heard a lot about him.
yeah, yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because a couple years ago, some friends and I, we actually tried to, how he does like the whole social media marketing thing.
Hmm.
Like a couple of friends and I, we tried to get into that, and it didn't really work out too much. So we kind of, I mean, it's good that we tried, but we didn't really know at the time that the field is so oversaturated. And like what I feel like a lot of these courses do is they kind of tell you that, oh, you don't need experience to do this, just learn from me and I'll show you the ropes and you can become super successful. But in reality, it takes months and years of dedication in a certain field, like before you want to like make a business out of it or monetize it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And like these fake gurus, and like especially in like the red pill and like the dating, like they kind of brand themselves as like, oh, like I'm your savior, you have all these problems and just pay me money and I will save you from your problems. And I just like one way that I like to describe it is, how like these red pill guys, they say that they're kind of saving you from the blue pill, like, oh,
Yes.
like everyone else is a fucking blue pill, they're plugged into the matrix, they don't know any better, but us, we're the red pill men, we know better. It's kind of like unplugging from the matrix. And in the movie, the analogy is that the red pill is the truth, the cold hard truth, but in reality, you're just trading the blue pill, quote unquote, matrix for the red pill, quote unquote, matrix. Because now you're getting fed all these toxic beliefs. You're getting constantly hounded to buy courses and shit. And you're kind of just in an echo chamber of your own. So, you know, you're really trying to get freedom and, like, but you're actually just exchanging one slave for another. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. No, no, no. That totally makes sense. Actually, kind of interesting. When you talk about the whole like those little self help courses. They're kind of pretty akin to like the whole red pill dating courses to kind of
Yeah, exactly.
dramatically improve your dating life by just taking this
Yeah.
course. Even though you can just do stuff yourself by learning through trial and error.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, like that's that's mostly what I got out of from my own like, experience like with the whole pickup scene. Like the majority of what I learned is from my own trial and error because like I didn't purchase any courses or like really follow any systems. Like granted, because the thing is like with these spaces is like I'm sure there are legit guys in the dating space where who if you do coaching with them or whatever or learn from them you do get better, and like same thing with the gurus, the fake gurus and stuff. But the thing is there's so many fakes out there
Hmm.
that it kind of just ruins it for everybody. And I genuinely feel like when you're in these spaces for long enough, you may start off with good intentions if you are like a content creator, but then you get too big and then it gets to the point where you're just becoming greedy. Like I noticed that with a lot of these content creators, like in both fields, like they might start off legit and like they might have good intentions with wanting to help people, but then it gets to a point where they're just focused more on monetizing it rather than helping. So,
No, no, I totally agree with that actually. And whenever there's a lot of money floating around, you're going to get a lot of disingenuous people entering the
yeah, exactly.
space.
Exactly.
So, yes, I'm kind of curious what made you leave the PUA community? Because I know you found the red pill afterwards, but so why did you leave the PUA?
So the thing is about the PUA community is there's a lot of emphasis on like casual dating and stuff. And look, I'm cool with casual dating. I've done it for the majority of my life. I don't think there's a problem with it, but it just gets to a point where it's just like, all right, I've learned everything I need to learn from this community. Why am I going to continue being in it? You know what I mean? And the thing is, a lot of these like what I was saying earlier, with like it gets to a point where they just focus on monetization and stuff. Like some of the big names out there, like RSD, like they completely ditched the pickup scene. They're doing like this self-help shit, and they're not really in like pickup is kind of dying. I feel like so. Not only is the scene kind of taking care of itself, but it just got to a point where there just wasn't much more valuable advice that I could take from it anymore. And
Hmm.
like granted, like I still occasionally watch content, just because it's like entertaining and stuff. But for the most part, I feel like I've already gotten everything I wanted from the space, and it just didn't really serve my uses anymore.
Hmm. That's interesting you say that because so like I said, I've been following this space for like 3 years. I'm coming to an end because I kind of almost said everything I wanted to say, and I just hate the repetitiveness of it all. One thing I know, some people stay in this space for like I don't know, like 5 years, and you still see them on the same channels, same videos of people talking about the same stuff, and kind of give them credit for talking about the subject, even though it's things people have been talking about for years.
Yeah, exactly. And like the thing is, so with PUA is like this kind of like you can improve in being a PUA because like you can meet more girls and like kind of improve your skills. But when it comes to the red pill, there's really no improvement. It's just the same kind of recycling of the same content over and over again. Oh, hypergamy, female nature. Oh, fuck these hoes, blah blah blah, and it's the same shit over and over again. And it's just like, don't you get tired of saying the same shit into the camera every single fucking day? But I don't know. I guess fuck it. It makes them the money. Do whatever makes you happy. But I don't know. It was just too much for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of it is because subscribers come in subscribers come in cycles. So every now and then I'll get somebody in my comment section who will argue with me about a talking point that I've heard for years in this space, whether it's like on a blog I read from years ago or just on a video, but it's all brand new to them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, it does make sense when you put it like that. I guess it does make sense to keep saying the same thing because if you keep pumping out content, you're going to attract new people, and I guess that makes sense from that perspective. But since we're on the topic of this already, I think we should discuss how a lot of these red pill YouTubers are like complete fucking frauds. So Steph is Cold, for example, this one guy literally made like a little expose video on him. In the video, he was like, "Yeah, like I will never take a girl in 2020 seriously. What else? If your girl is posting pictures of herself on social media, she's advertising herself, and if she's posting thirst traps, she's a hoe. Just all this crazy shit." And lo and behold, guess what? Steph is cold has a girlfriend of like 3 or 4 years. Steph is cold. His girlfriend is posting pictures of her ass on Instagram at the gym, and pretty much the complete opposite of what he's saying in his videos is what he's practicing in real life. And when you see shit like this, it kind of brings into whole question of if these fucking guys who keep preaching this shit, if they don't believe it themselves, then how true is it really? You know? And like, look at Rolo Tomasi. He's been married for like 20 years. Rich Cooper. He tries to play off that he's like, oh, like the alpha badass, but he said he got red pilled after his divorce, but he would continuously date single mothers after them, and he's always shitting on single mothers. It's just like, dude, like, why are you shitting on single mothers so much if that's literally all you've ever dated? Like, I can understand learning from your own mistakes and not wanting people to repeat the same mistakes, but at the end of the day, it's just like maybe it's not the single mothers, maybe it's you. You know, maybe you're just picking fucking shit women to date if you're having all these terrible experiences. You know,
Hmm.
and it's just it's it's like a rabbit hole. Like once you go in deep and you see like how big a fraud some of these guys are, it really just destroys the credibility of the whole fucking community, honestly. And
That's kind of interesting. So, of course, I'd send you some questions, but of course, I said there'll be some follow up and some off the road. So, what are your opinions about the dating coaches? Because lately, I would say for the past several months, especially coming from the black pill section, there's been like this war against dating coaches. It's kind of like to expose them, showing that they're hypocritical. They're not practicing what they preach, and they're overcharging people for things that you can get for free. Because
yeah,
I don't watch a
exactly.
whole lot of I'll be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of Steffes Cole. I know Alpha Male Strategy, I've seen him, but when it comes to Steffes
Yeah,
Cole, MJ Get Right, Fixes Phyllis, even Richard Cooper, I don't watch like a whole lot of their content to even understand
yeah.
their talking points.
Honestly, that's good. You're saving yourself a lot of brain cells by doing that. But yeah. So the thing is about the black pill guys is that they're very nihilistic and very cynical. Like they take the red pill to like a whole new fucking extreme. Like their point of view is if you're not some Chad motherfucker who's like 6'3", ripped, fucking big ass dick, a lot of money and shit, like you're gonna get you're gonna get zero success with women. And I think that's just total bullshit. You know what I mean? Because, I'm sure you've experienced this yourself. I know more than enough people who don't fit the typical criteria of quote unquote being attractive, but I see all types of different dudes with, attractive women all the time. And look, I'm not gonna lie here and say that if you're not attractive, if you're not tall, that, if you're not muscular and shit, that it won't be easier. Like obviously let's not be delusional here, but like what these black pill guys say that looks and status and money is like the end all be all. It's like no, like there's much more to it. Looks and shit like might get the attention of a potential partner, but in order to keep them around, you have to have some sort of substance and something to keep them around. And um, you were saying that like these guys have been getting attacked by the black pill and stuff, and like the thing is about what I noticed is in a lot of these hit pieces is they kind of take things out of context and out of proportion and kind of like smear some of these people. Like remember we were talking in the pre-interview. There's the difference between like trolling and just being a dick versus like constructive criticism and actually calling someone out. I
Yeah,
feel like a
yeah.
lot of these black pill guys and whoever tried like the people who do these roasts, they kind of take it a little bit too far in the trolling territory, so it kind of
Mhm.
gets rid of the credibility a little bit. But there is a lot of truth in these exposés and stuff. Like some of my personal favorite are by John Anthony Lifestyle. I've seen you put some excerpts from his roast and exposés in your videos, and honestly,
Mhm.
they're fucking hilarious. Like honestly, you don't really need reality TV anymore when you have the fucking Manosphere. Fuck keeping up with the Kardashians, keeping up with the Manosphere. That's where it's at.
That's a good one.
But yeah. So while I do think some of the roasts and some of the criticisms they don't hold much weight, I think that it's good that people are finally starting to kind of step up and call these people out on their bullshit. Because like it's just because yeah, yeah, sorry, I was just getting lost in my words for a little bit, but it's good
It's
that these
okay.
people are finally getting exposed because people like me or other people in the ex red pill community or people who are in the red pill community who have doubts, they can kind of look at that and kind of open their eyes a little bit and see that the people that they worship, the people that they look up to, they're not really being so truthful. So I think it's always good when there's a healthy dose of truth and exposing out there, you know?
And I put this comment up because this is something I've been thinking about too, where you said like John Anthony lifestyle is also quite the charlatan, though, laughing my butt off. Yeah, I was kind of wondering that because I know a lot of, even though there is like this practice of expose, quote unquote, exposing people, but some of the people doing it, I kind of, they don't have as much credibility either.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. By the way, I noticed you didn't say the A word. Are we not supposed to curse?
Oh, so personally, I don't really use a whole lot of profanity. It's not really my lexicon. But no, on my channel, I just try to avoid it because it's monetized.
Oh,
I don't try
okay,
to police
okay.
people, but I just try to say keep it to a minimum. I say
Ah,
personally,
okay,
I just don't
okay.
use a lot of profanity.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't aware of that because I use a
Hmm.
lot of profanity in my day-to-day speech, but if it's a problem with the channel, I'll try to keep it to a minimum.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's definitely interesting because now guys have been doing exposés on John Anthony, and his claims were always a little bit like 'cause he talks big. He says he's been like with over 1,300 women.
Oh,
That
yeah.
like he goes all out with his claims, and I was kind of skeptical or whatever, but for the most part, I followed him for like the exposés and stuff and the roasts. Like whenever he makes like legit content where he tries to coach people on game or whatever, I don't watch that stuff. I just, I'm just in it for the exposes. But yeah, I think it's definitely interesting how his true colors are kind of coming into the forefront, and he's one of the main guys in kind of working on the exposés and stuff. Like, it's kind of common wisdom that the people who talk the most smack are
Hmm.
the ones with the most skeletons in their closet to hide. And I think that kind of does bode true for John Anthony lifestyle as well. And, you know, he, whether or not he's legit in his own practices, that's kind of irrelevant to me because I don't follow him for that sort of content. I'm just glad that he's at least going out of his way to expose some of these guys because I don't honestly like before like the black pill guys and like John Anthony kind of came to the scene. A lot of these red pill guys really weren't getting exposed, and if they were, I wasn't aware of it at all. So
Okay, I'm kind of curious, because we have Mumia Obsidian Ali in the live chat for the first time I've seen him here. And we go back through emails and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know if you know him, but he calls himself a non-select dating coach and recently published, self-published a book. That he actually sent me through an email. So I'm kind of curious what you think about people who like kind of even though there's really no rules or guidelines to be a dating coach. What do you think about people who kind of just like self-proclaim to be a dating coach?
look, so this is one point that I agree with when it comes to what John Anthony says. He says that you shouldn't call yourself a dating coach if you don't have experience in the field. Like, if you don't have enough experience, like for example, let's say you want to hire a personal trainer. Who
Hmm.
are you going to hire? Arnold Schwarzenegger or some random 300-pound, fat guy? Like obviously you want someone with experience in the field and someone who has the results that they're trying to sell you. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So personally, I think that a dating coach should be experienced in the field, should have a lot of it depends on, because the thing is dating coach is such a broad term. Are you
Yes.
teaching people to date casually? Are you teaching them how to manage long-term relationships? Like there's just so many fields within that field, so it really just depends. I personally believe that in whatever field of the dating coach genre, whatever you're trying to teach, you should have experience in it. If you don't have experience, you shouldn't be teaching. That's my view with that, and that's my view with honestly anything in life.
Okay, so that's good. I'll kind of jump back into some of the pre-prepared questions I had. Pre-prepared. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you met your current girlfriend several months into your red pill journey, and I'm curious about that because well, at least many sectors of the red pill often preach men to like get more casual experiences and are kind of against dating or settling down.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because when I first started dating my girlfriend, I literally told her, "Hey, This is nothing serious. This is casual, blah, blah, blah. And, that's how it was in the beginning. And um, I'm not sure what it was exactly because this was in the beginning of the pandemic, so it could have been, I think it was just things falling into place. Pandemic started, everything was
Hmm.
closed. There wasn't much to do. She was the only girl I was really hanging out with. And because of the pandemic, we spent a lot of time together. Usually, when it comes to dating, it kind of takes a while for you guys to start, seeing each other very frequently and stuff. And like, there's kind of like a pace in which like relationships kind of travel. And I feel like because of the pandemic, it kind of sped things up a lot. Like, we were seeing each other multiple times a week, like very frequently in the beginning. And I don't know, like, it's really interesting because, like I said, we started out very casual, and then eventually she hit me with the "What are we?" Oh, like, you want to take this more serious or whatever.
Hmm.
And this is like the first time actually that someone's actually asked me that question because the majority of the girls I've dated, they were of the same mindset as me. Like they wanted something casual, like, so it was kind of out of left field that someone hit me with the "Oh, what are we?" question. So I kind of sat on it for a little while, and eventually I just decided, hey, I've always, because the thing is, it never got to the point where I told myself I will never have a committed relationship. I always thought, oh, I'm just gonna wait until I'm like way older, until I get way more experience. Like it was never not in the cards for me, but it was just something that it was in the very distant future. But it was something that I eventually aspired to have. Like
Hmm.
it was never like some of these red pill guys that say, "Oh, never date a girl seriously," blah blah blah, and I just think that's too extreme. Like I think I think there's pros and cons to dating casually versus pros and cons to being in a serious relationship. Like on like since we're already on this topic, I feel like my experience with casually dating and in the whole PUA scene, it actually kind of helped me with my relationship now. You know what I mean? Because like once you get to like you know like, meet different girls and stuff and kind of just like get an idea of like the whole scene, like you get an idea of what it's going to be like, you know
Hmm.
but to answer your question, so like I told you, I got into the red pill scene like 10, 11 months ago, and I started dating my girlfriend like literally 2 or 3 months into my red pill journey. So I was still very fresh, very new. Like it's a lot easier to get rid of views and viewpoints that you just got versus shit that you've been. Oh, sorry, I cursed again.
Yeah, it's
Stuff
okay.
that
It's okay.
stuff that you've been drilling into your head for like years and years. So I feel like it was kind of easy to unplug, I guess you would say, because it was so new to me. And
Hmm.
and honestly, like, I feel like there was always a part of me that somewhat disagreed with the red pill because a lot of their dogmas, like, oh, well, all women are like that. Every woman is hypergamous. Oh, women are promiscuous. All women are promiscuous. Like, I never bought into that because I have real world examples of the opposite. So I'm like a scientific thinker. So like I don't really believe in theories or whatever without some sort of like proof or evidence. you
Hmm.
know so the fact that they would make some of these crazy claims and I would see views that like proof of the opposite, it was kind of like it kind of conflicted with me you know
Hmm.
um but yeah, like I have female friends, like I have a sister and stuff, so it's kind of hard to like really believe all that sort of stuff when I have these close relationships with like females and stuff. And it's kind of like a block. It's really hard to see females and stuff as the enemy when you know when that's just not the case.
Yeah, the longer I listen to these guys, you kind of realize they kind of project their experiences with women onto others. And one thing with particularly with the black manosphere, which I found told by accident, I just couldn't relate to them because for one, I kind of deal with women of different races, ethnicities, and of course, and my experiences with black women just didn't really match that. I'm just like, no,
Yeah,
most of my experience with black women have been positive, so I can't relate to this overtly negative dialogue.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay, so I'm kind of curious on in the email you sent me, and you kind of just going over some basic fact. You said that you used to have very jaded views about women, so I'm kind of curious what were those views?
Yeah, so the thing is about lies is the most convincing lies are the ones that they hint the truth in them. And the type of women that the guys in the Manosphere and the Red Pill describe, they are real. There are girls who are very self-centered, who are hypergamous, for lack of a better word. They're always trying to find the next best thing. And there's also like monkey branching, where they jump from one
Hmm.
guy to the next, like, and just a lot of the negative qualities that these guys talk about, they are real, but the distinction is they don't apply to all women. That's one of my main gripes with the whole red pill is they say, oh, all women are like this, all women are promiscuous, all women are hypergamous, all of them will monkey branch if they find a better mate. Like, no, that's not true. And like,
Hmm.
it's just it just really angers me when I see this stuff because it turns like good guys into like misogynistic pieces of crap, to be completely honest with you, and it's terrible. And yeah, about the whole jaded views of women thing. So I've been on, like, my views were mostly, oh, like, women were promiscuous, like, given the opportunity they will cheat on you. And it was pretty much, it was like very like insecure views about women. You know what I mean? Kind of like that they're not trustworthy, that they'll monkey branch, they'll cheat, they're hypergamous, that like, and what else? That was pretty much it for the most part. And part of one of the reasons why I believe this so much is because it kind of aligned with real world experiences. I've been on both ends of the cheating spectrum.
Hmm.
I've been cheated on in the past, with a serious relationship, and I've also been the guy that girls have cheated on their boyfriends with. Like, it's being on the other end of the spectrum. It's honestly unreal. Like, I remember vividly one time, after a girl and I, we just finished doing our thing. Her boyfriend literally called her, and she made plans with the boyfriend. It's like, oh, hey baby, what's up? And just acted like so nonchalant and so just like as if nothing just happened. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, wow, like, she really just made plans with her boyfriend after being with me,
Hmm.
So once you kind of see that, and like you're in a committed relationship on your own, your insecurities start to creep in. Your insecurities start to creep in, and then just like, yo, is my girlfriend doing that to me? Because like she just did it so easy without like any guilt, and it was just wow, like, it was very eye opening, and that kind of like jaded my views a little bit. And especially in the city where I'm in right now, like, it's like a party city and stuff. So like you always hear these crazy stories about people cheating and stuff, and it's just like, and especially like when you consume this type of content too, because one thing I noticed is you don't really stumble upon the red pill unless you have a bad experience of your own. So it's kind of like an echo chamber of bad experiences.
Yeah,
So
I fully agree because that's the story you told. I actually heard people in the space say that, like, like they meet a woman, they hook up with her, and then she tells them, like, oh yeah, she's getting married the next day, and it really makes them, I would guess, hostile. I won't say hostile, but they tend to be, they have a lot of social anxiety about like dating. They kind of think like, oh well,
yeah,
she did that. Won't there be plenty of other women um, who can do the same?
yeah, exactly. And I think it's really good that you said that because, you know, sorry, these men, they have these experiences, and it kind of puts up a wall of intimacy, and they don't let people in because they're just afraid of getting hurt, and they're afraid of getting hurt because of these experiences. But on top of that, these red pill content creators, they enforce these experiences. They're like, yeah, this is the truth, this is the truth, all women are like this, and it kind of just, it feeds on your insecurities and your anxieties that already are there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's just, like we were talking about earlier, it's just an echo chamber of, just bad perspectives and such.
And
And
pain. I would say pain
yeah,
because I get people. I've never seen so many hurt people in like one space in my life. Like I'll get some
yeah,
people, they find out that like it's a lot of black women will comment on my channel and they find out I'm a black guy, and it just like reminds them of all the people they dated in the past who hurt them. And I'm just like, what the world? I'm like, I don't really deal with this in my actual life, but I don't know. YouTube is kind of strange in that regard.
yeah, exactly. And that's one of my main critiques on the red pill is there's no accounting for nuance. It's very extreme. Oh, all women are like this. This is female's nature, this is men's nature, blah blah blah. And the funny part is, I could compare them to like a cult, because if you don't agree, there's so much shaming. Oh, you don't agree with me? Oh, you must be a beta simp mangina cuck. It's just like, what? It's just,
Mhm.
I'm disagreeing with you on this one thing. Why does that make me a beta simp? Like, and it's funny because remember earlier how I mentioned that the red pill is kind of a matrix on its own, and you're trading
Mhm.
the blue pill matrix for the red pill matrix.
Mhm.
I feel like one of the main reasons for this is because these red pill guys, they don't emphasize critical thinking. I feel like with any ideas, you should always be questioning the validity of it. Like, hey, is this real? Let me compare this with my world with my real world experience, with my views. Kind of just, you should always be questioning your views, and you should always be open minded. You know what I mean? And that's another one of my main critiques on the red pill is it doesn't really encourage that at all. It's kind of very like, oh, this is the way it is, and that's it. There's no questioning it. And I just think that's not a good way to approach dating or life in general.
No, I totally agree. So I'm kind of curious. So, yeah, you told me that your girlfriend actually helped you snap out of red pill ideology. So, do you mind telling the audience that story?
Yeah, so it wasn't like any one particular event. It was mostly just spending time with her, getting to know her, and kind of just learning about her, and you know, kind of just being able to let her in, and kind of let my guard down and be intimate with her. And the thing is, a lot of what these red pill guys claim as truth, I find to not be true in my personal experiences. Like they say, oh, you always got to be masculine. Don't let go of your masculine frame, and oh, don't be emotional. And there's been a lot of times where I've been emotional. I've cried with my girlfriend. I would act goofy instead of like super masculine, and she still loves me. She's still sexually attracted to me. So how does that fit into your theory? Granted, remember what I said earlier about how every lie there's a sprinkle of truth.
Hmm.
Granted, I don't think it's very attractive for a guy to be super emotional 24/7. Like, if you're crying every day, all right, you got some mental problems, bro. Go see a shrink before getting into a relationship, because you don't want to put your partner through that mess, But
Hmm.
and but at the end of the day, it's not that extreme. We're human beings. It's okay to cry if something terrible happens. It's okay to not have a good day and be upset. It's okay to be a little bit goofy. You don't have to be like masculine and stuff all the time, And look, like there is some truth to it, like I remember seeing in one of the comments of your YouTube videos, something about how you believe like gender roles are mostly societal, right?
Hmm. Like socially constructed.
Yeah.
That's usually a
Well,
sociological perspective. It's like gender roles
yeah,
are socially constructed by whatever given society that they're in.
yeah. Well, I do agree to an extent. I think that like, I kind of I see both sides of the fence. You know, the side that it's just a social construct versus like, oh, men are a certain way and women are one way. I think men and women are fundamentally different, and there is such a thing as like masculinity and femininity, but it's not so like black and white and so cookie cutter as like the red pill claims it is, and you know, I think it does have its merits to be quote unquote like masculine, like being stoic, being, responsible, and like there's a time and place for everything, like I just don't think in extremes like that. I think it's good to be like, masculine and stuff, but I also think it's good to occasionally let your guard down and don't be afraid to show your emotions and stuff. And I feel like that's what a lot of these red pills, red pill guys, they say, oh, don't do that, and it's just not true. And I just, the more I think about it, and it's just like, let's say I was like a super red pill guy and I was in a long term relationship. Why would I want to be in a relationship with someone who wouldn't accept me for who I am in terms of being emotional or like crying every now and then, like why would I want to be in a relationship with someone like that? I want to be with someone who accepts me for 100% of who I am. I don't want to have to hide any part of myself from my partner. So I just I just think it doesn't make sense.
Okay. So I did ask the audience, I did ask the people listening to have a question. I think one person, I think he just opposes what you're saying. But he's like, ask him, why does he sound like a dating coach, even though he's criticizing him? So I guess he's accusing you of sounding like a dating coach, which I don't personally agree with, but I don't know if you want to respond or not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand where he's coming from because I
Mhm.
did say some of my philosophies, which,
Okay.
like I mentioned earlier, I used to be in the whole PUA community and stuff, so
Mhm.
maybe it came from there. I mean, he's entitled to his opinion, but, I don't think I sound like a dating coach at all.
Okay. That's enough about that. So yeah, so I'm curious. You say you still subscribe to like two channels, mostly 21 Studios and John Anthony. Oh no, we already talked about that. Actually, what do you think about the recent exposed videos?
Yeah.
So I mean, so pretty much you cut it all out with the exception of those two.
Yeah, pretty much for the most part. Yeah, I'm only really, like I mentioned earlier, I'm only really subscribed to them, for the roast and the drama and stuff. But the thing is about 21 Studios is he does have like some good speakers on there. Like there was this one speech on there where he kind of like criticized Rollo Tomasi's view of the of hypergamy and the red pill, and
Hmm.
I think he said it perfectly in that speech. It's kind of like a cult, you know.
Yep.
So I just think it's kind of scary because it's so true. And you said you don't really follow like, I mean, you said that you're generally aware of the red pill content creators, but
No, I've watched them. I don't. Of course, it's not possible to watch everybody. So there's some people I know better than others.
yeah, but if you notice, the guys that Rollo Tomasi surrounds himself with,
Hmm.
for lack of a better word, they're bootlickers. They literally no, I'm being so serious. They literally agree with everything as he says. They promote his book 24/7. They view him as like the godfather of the manosphere, and like they pedestalize this man. And if you really dive into Rollo Tomasi's life, there's nothing to pedestalize at all. He talks about his rock star 20s and how he was so good with women and stuff, but people who know him personally say that he's an awkward dweeb, like,
Hmm.
and there's just so many holes in all of this, and it's just it's unreal, and it's very cult like because anyone who goes after Rolo, they immediately get destroyed on YouTube. Like 21 Studios, Anthony Johnson, all of his videos attacking Rolo Tomasi, the like dislike ratio is down the toilet. But none of his other videos are like that. And you want to know why? Because Rolo's followers are like a bunch of little cult members, and you insulted their master, the cult leader, and now they're butthurt and offended. And it's just really crazy, and it's honestly kind of sad to see the state of some of these men, And here on the chat, Nia said, "I'm curious about his upbringing. Mom, dad, popular in high school. In high school, I was more like, just nothing crazy. I wasn't popular or anything. Like I had my fair share of friends and stuff. I didn't really date. I was kind of nerdy. I was into like science and like computer games and all that jazz. But I wasn't I wasn't necessarily like a super nerd, and I wasn't necessarily like super popular either. I would say I'm more like middle of the road.
Yeah,
And
okay.
about my mom and my dad, my parents are divorced right now, unfortunately, but
Hmm.
um, for the most part, growing up, they had like a pretty decent relationship and stuff, and it was nothing crazy. They've been married for like what 20 years or so, and they met in their home country, then they came here together, and it was a really cute story and all, but it's nothing crazy. But they're divorced now and stuff, and it's I feel like my upbringing did kind of contribute to my views when it comes to like the red pill and like women and stuff, because I feel like my dad kind of has a jaded view of women too.
Hmm.
Not nowhere as extreme as like the red pill guys, but like he was always kind of like a jealous guy. He thought my mom was doing some shit when she really wasn't, and it kind of like transferred over to me, and I feel like it kind of made me susceptible to some of the stuff I would see like on the internet with the red pill and such.
Okay. I'm kind of curious. So, I don't. Do you know who Kevin Samuels is? Because somebody wants to know your opinion about him.
I've heard of him.
Hmm.
I don't watch any of his content. I don't know anything about him. I've seen the YouTubers Abba and Preach.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that they review some of Kevin Samuel's talking points in some of their videos. And from what I saw, he kind of plays both sides of the field. They recently put out a video where Kevin Samuels was talking to a dude, and he pretty much showed the guy, yo, how many girls do you need? Because he was talking about like casual dating and stuff, and how he wants to have all these girls or whatever. And Kevin Samuels kind of told him, you know, it's going to get to a point where how many girls do you really need? If you're always focused on chasing tail and chasing girls, you're not really focused on yourself and on your purpose. And it's funny that he mentioned that, because on the other end of the spectrum, he also says, oh, high value men, they need to exercise their options and they cheat and stuff. So um, I don't really know what to say about him. I'm not too informed on him. I can't make any make any judgments based on what I know. I don't know enough about him.
Okay, that's fair enough. It's kind of interesting. I mean, I was going to comment a little bit more on Rollo Tomasi. So, from my understanding, he wrote the book Irrational Male. I haven't read it, and I just don't really like buying these books. Like, there's a lot of other stuff I'd rather read than the book written by Red Pillars. But from people who I know who read it and even liked it, they told me that it's kind of good for the short term, but not the long term. And it's very theory based too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because like way long ago, like when I first started getting into the red pill journey, I actually sent that book to one of my friends who's not red pill involved at all. So
Hmm.
I got his opinion on it, and he said, yeah, like I mean, it makes sense in the short term, but in the long term, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's exactly what my friend said, who has no manosphere exposure, no nothing except the rational male.
Hmm.
And yes, I would definitely agree that it's all theory and stuff, and a lot of the theory is just straight nonsense. Like he says, one of his main points is that men love idealistically while women love conditionally. Like a man will unconditionally love his girlfriend no matter what, but a woman will only love her boyfriend if he's high value enough, if he's alpha enough, if he has enough status and stuff. And you know, I completely disagree. I don't believe in like 100% unconditional love, because obviously people fall in and out of love every day.
Hmm.
For example, let's say two people are in a relationship, right? They're both attractive, they're both ambitious, they have their stuff together, right? They're
Hmm.
fit, they got their money together, they got good goals and stuff. Let's say one of them, whether it be the man or the woman, they start getting out of shape, they start eating, they gain like 100, 200 pounds, they go broke, they lose their job, they, forgo all of their hobbies and the stuff that makes them interesting. The other person will most likely fall out of love with them, because it's not the same person that they fell in love with. So it's not that men love unconditionally or that women love only on conditions. It's just, you love a person the way they are, and if they change drastically, you're going to fall out of love. It only makes
Hmm.
sense. So I think that's straight nonsense. And
I know he has others like he talks a lot about hypergamy and monkey brain
yeah,
shit.
yeah. And so one of the guys who speaks at the 21 Studios, Dr. Sean T. Smith, he actually made
Mhm.
like a 40 something minute video actually debunking hypergamy. And pretty much the basis is yes, hypergamy is real,
Yeah, it's
but
a social science term.
it's nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry that your girlfriend is gonna cheat on you with a guy who's slightly taller, slightly more like hypergamy. It exists, but it's not a main factor in a woman's decision making. And it's
Mhm.
like another one of the main talking points that the red pill makes is like, oh, women are emotional and they're impulsive and they only act on their emotions and stuff. But you have no idea how many men I've seen fall into that category as well. I think there are both men and women who are just, very impulsive and emotional, while there are others who are more disciplined, more logical and stuff. It's a spectrum, and I think it's unfair to completely paint women one way or paint men another.
Well, that does lead me to this point that Obsidian loves to talk about. I had to point out 'cause he's in my chat. So a common talking point in the black manosphere is like black women kind of overlook quote unquote like good guys. So Obsidian's main message is that black women should start going more for like the studious, nerdy, upward mobile. But he thinks black women mostly go for like guys who are quote unquote no good. Even wrote a blog post in the Negro Manosphere claiming that most black women died in Hurricane Katrina because they didn't pick good partners, which
What?
I wrote a blog post about it. He defended it actually. I was like, oh, okay. Even when I brought up Milwaukee, he just kind of defended. So his biggest talking point is that the biggest issue in Black America is that black women and black men don't get along. That's something he repeats often. So I don't because we're talking about Rollo Tomasi. I was thinking like the black manosphere has a lot of like dogma as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about what he says about the black women not going for nerdy guys. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't agree, but I will tell you one thing. There was this one time I went on a date with the black chick from Tinder, and it was going good at first, but then after a while, she literally told me, "Yeah, I'm not that into you because I like my guys to be aggressive and mean." And I was just like, "What the like, what?"
Mhm. Yeah, there's some women who
Like,
like people like what they like, so I can definitely see that.
yeah, I know, but it was just like I wasn't being no pushover either. Like, I feel like if I was to be like, what does she want me to be? Like, what do you mean aggressive and mean? Like, what do you want me to like? I was so shocked when she said that. It was, so I mean, like, I guess it makes sense. Different people have different people are attracted to different things. Some people don't like nerdy people. Some people don't like jock types. But based on what he said about the black women not liking nerdy guys,
It's a
I think
common
it is
talking point in the
interesting.
space. So I don't know
I,
how they
I,
define nerdy though. It's kind of because people call me a nerd. I kind of consider myself a nerd, but I don't
yeah,
know how people define it differently.
yeah, no, I definitely agree. But I think when people say nerdy, they mean like kind of like guys who are kind of like socially awkward and stuff. Because the thing is, I feel like you know it's kind of said that girls aren't attracted to nerdy guys, because maybe because the thing is like a lot of quote unquote nerdy guys, they don't really have like the best social skills. You know what I mean? And that was kind of my problem when I first got into the PUA sphere. Like I was getting girls into me because they thought I looked good, but because my social skills weren't that good, I was like fumbling the bag. Like
Mhm.
I had the ball and I dropped it. And once I started to develop my social skills and like my confidence and my charisma and whatnot, then it started to improve. So I know we can debate this topic all day, but
You really, it's never ending. I try my best to avoid these kind of conversations because people speak largely from their experiences, and sometimes it's very limited because they never lived anywhere else or they don't really it, interact with people outside of like the social circle. It's kind of pointless. You're never going to change somebody's mind.
yeah. And honestly, I think that's total BS because I've been with a lot of black chicks myself, and I consider myself kind of nerdy.
Hmm.
So I think that's total BS.
Okay, so yeah, so my last because I did ask people if they have questions, and there was a few. So yeah, my last question is, do you have any last words?
No, thank you for having me on. I'm glad that, you have this platform in order to bring guys like me, who have been part of the red pill and who've kind of unplugged and to give us a platform to speak. Because honestly, you know, I really wish this community had more reach. Because unfortunately, the red pill grows every day. Like a bunch of these
Mhm.
channels, they're always getting new subs, new viewers, and stuff, and it's only growing and growing. So I feel like in order to fight that, this type of platform needs to grow as well. Because in my complete, in my honest opinion, I think the red pill is poison to young men, and the sooner we can get rid of that and kind of debase it and debunk that, the better. And I'm really glad that you have this platform, and thank you for having me on.
Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate the time. I appreciate everybody who came by to watch it. As I said, I'll definitely will have more pre-recorded content. I'm actually going to wrap things up in the future. So I look forward to that. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. I appreciate everybody here, even the critics like Obsidian, and as well as other people who actually been supporting me for a long time. Other than that, I will just say hopefully everybody has a great Sunday, and I'll see you Monday when I'll be interviewing a content creator. I won't say his name, but you'll see it in the title. You guys know who he is. So no, see you then.
I'm excited. Is he famous? Is he well
No,
known?
he's known in the black sector of the Manosphere.
Okay, okay, I'm excited. Thank